Ifeoma Okafor was used to being invisible. She worked long hours as a delivery lady, riding her old motorcycle through the busy streets of Port Harcourt. With her worn-out sneakers and oversized hoodie, no one ever paid her much attention. But that was about to change. One rainy evening, Ifeoma hurried to deliver a package to one of the city's tallest skyscrapers, the headquarters of Lancaster Industries. As she stepped into the grand lobby, she felt completely out of place. The marble floors gleamed under golden chandeliers, and rich men in tailored suits walked past without a second glance. She approached the reception desk and asked for a signature. That's when she saw him, Ethan Lancaster, the young, arrogant billionaire who owned half the city. With his sharp jawline, piercing blue eyes, and tailored suit, he looked like a man who had never heard the word no in his life. Ethan took the package without looking at her. But as she turned to leave, something made him stop. Maybe it was her voice, soft yet firm. Maybe it was the way she stood, confident despite her simple clothes. He glanced at her name tag. Ifeoma, he murmured. From that moment, Ethan was intrigued. But he wasn't the only one. A week later, Ifeoma delivered a package to another grand building, Kingston Enterprises. This time, she met Damon Kingston, a billionaire known for his cold heart and ruthless business tactics. He rarely smiled, but when Ifeoma handed him the package, his icy stare softened. "You're different," he said, almost to himself. Before she could respond, the doors swung open, and a third man walked in, Noah Blackwood, a billionaire investor with a reputation for being both charming and mysterious. "Damon, what a surprise," Noah said smoothly. But then his gaze landed on Ifeoma, and for the first time in years, his confident smirk wavered. Ethan, Damon, and Noah, three of the most powerful men in the city, had fallen for the same woman. And Ifeoma had no idea the storm that was about to hit her life. The battle for Ifeoma's heart began almost immediately. The next day, as Ifeoma finished her morning deliveries, a sleek black Range Rover pulled up beside her on the bustling streets of Port Harcourt. The tinted window rolled down, and Ethan Lancaster's confident gaze met hers. "Ifeoma," he called smoothly, stepping out in his tailored suit. "Let me take you to lunch." Ifeoma looked around, startled. People on the street were staring. A billionaire, here for her? She shook her head. "I still have work to do, sir." Ethan smirked. "Work? Consider it your day off. I'll pay whatever you would have earned." "I can't be bought," she replied firmly. His smirk widened. "That's what makes you different. But I'll wait until you say yes." With that, he handed her an elegant card, an invitation to one of the city's most exclusive restaurants, and drove off, leaving her heart pounding. But Ethan wasn't the only one making moves. Later that evening, Ifeoma received a phone call from an unknown number. "Ifeoma?" The deep, authoritative voice was unmistakable. "Damon Kingston." She froze. "How did you get my number?" "I have my ways." His tone was cool and controlled. "I heard your motorcycle broke down yesterday. That's not acceptable. Go outside." Confused, she stepped out of her small apartment and gasped. A brand-new power bike stood in front of her gate, gleaming under the streetlights. A delivery bike, faster, stronger, and worth more than a year's salary. "I don't need charity," she said firmly into the phone. "It's not charity," Damon replied. "It's an investment. I believe in you, Ifeoma. But if you don't want it, leave it there. Someone else will take it." Before she could respond, the line went dead. Her heart raced. Damon was cold, powerful, and unpredictable. Was this kindness or control? The next morning, as Ifeoma opened her tiny apartment door, she found a single red rose resting on the floor. No note. No sender's name. Just the flower, fresh with dew. Her heart pounded. That afternoon, after finishing her deliveries, she found another rose, this time in her motorcycle's basket. That night, another one, tucked under her door. Then, her phone rang. "Did you like the roses?" Noah Blackwood's deep, smooth voice sent shivers down her spine. Her breath hitched. "That was you?" "A woman like you deserves to be noticed," he said, his voice teasing yet serious. "Not everything has to be loud. Sometimes, the quietest gestures are the most powerful." Ifeoma clutched the phone, torn between fear and fascination. 3 powerful men. 3 different approaches. 1 heart. And Ifeoma knew, this was only the beginning. For days, Ifeoma's life was no longer the same. Everywhere she turned, one of the billionaires was there, making their move. But as their obsession with her grew, so did the tension between them. It started subtly, stolen glances when they happened to be in the same place. Then, it turned into something dangerous. One evening, Ifeoma was delivering a package to a luxury hotel when she heard raised voices in the VIP lounge. She stopped. She recognized those voices. Ethan. Damon. Noah. Curious but nervous, she moved closer. "I don't care what you're planning, Ethan," Damon's cold voice cut through the air. "Ifeoma is not one of your business conquests. You can't just throw money at her and expect her to fall for you." Ethan scoffed. "Says the man who delivered a brand new bike like she's a charity case? Tell me, Damon, do you even know what makes her smile?" Noah's deep chuckle interrupted. "Funny how both of you are talking like she's already yours." His voice was calm, but dangerous. "You two are predictable. Ifeoma isn't the kind of woman who falls for power or money. She needs something real. And you think you're the one to give her that?" Ethan snapped. "I know I am," Noah said simply. A tense silence followed. Then, Damon's voice, low and threatening. "This is more than a game now. Ifeoma will choose one of us. And I promise you both, I won't lose." Ifeoma's heart pounded as she hurried away before they could see her. This wasn't just admiration anymore. It was a war. As Ifeoma tried to process the chaos surrounding her, things at home became worse. Her younger brother, Chidi, was sick. The hospital bills were piling up, and despite working long hours, she was struggling. One evening, she returned home to find an envelope of cash slipped under her door. A note attached. For Chidi's treatment. No strings attached. N. Noah. Tears burned in her eyes. She needed the money. Desperately. But accepting it? That would mean owing him. She bit her lip. What should she do? Meanwhile, Ethan had another surprise. "I want you to stop working as a delivery girl," he announced one afternoon, standing outside her workplace. Ifeoma frowned. "Excuse me?" "I'm offering you a job," Ethan said, handing her a contract. "At Lancaster Industries. A comfortable office job. No stress, no riding around in the sun. Better pay." She didn't even look at the papers. "So, you want to buy me?" Ethan sighed. "Not everything is a game, Ifeoma. Just think about it." And then, Damon took things even further. One evening, a group of men harassed Ifeoma as she walked home. Before she could react, a black SUV pulled up, and 4 men stepped out. Damon's men. They handled the situation in seconds, sending the troublemakers running. Then, one of them turned to her. "Boss says you're not to walk alone at night anymore." Ifeoma was shaking. "I don't need bodyguards." "Boss insists." She clenched her fists. Damon was controlling. Ethan was persuasive. Noah was mysterious. And all 3 of them were determined. This wasn't just attention anymore. It was obsession. And Ifeoma was caught in the middle of a battle she never asked for. For days, Ifeoma struggled with what to do. Each of the 3 billionaires had offered her something she desperately needed. Noah's money could save her brother's life, Ethan's job could give her financial stability, and Damon's protection could keep her safe. And after many sleepless nights, she made a decision. She accepted everything. Please subscribe. The moment Ifeoma took Noah's money, she transferred it directly to the hospital. That evening, she called him. "Noah," she said hesitantly when he picked up. "You accepted it," he stated, his voice unreadable. "I did," she admitted. "Thank you." Silence. Then, he chuckled. "I thought you'd be too proud to take it. But I'm glad you did. Your brother is more important than your pride." She swallowed hard. "I don't like owing people." "You don't owe me, Ifeoma," Noah said softly. "But I won't lie, it makes me happy that I could help you." She didn't know what to say. She could feel the warmth in his voice. But before she could respond, he whispered, "Sweet dreams, Ifeoma," and ended the call. Her heart raced. The next day, she arrived at Lancaster Industries. The office was nothing like the hot streets she was used to. It was air-conditioned, luxurious, and filled with important-looking people in suits. She felt out of place, but Ethan was waiting for her. "Welcome to your new life," he said, flashing his charming smile. "I don't want favors," she warned. "If I work here, it's because I earned it." Ethan leaned closer. "That's why I like you. You don't pretend to be helpless. But don't fight me too much, Ifeoma. You might find yourself actually enjoying this." She frowned, but he only smirked and walked away. That night, as she walked home, she noticed them, Damon's men, standing in the shadows, watching over her. It felt strange, but safe. When she called Damon to protest, his response was blunt. "This city is dangerous. I protect what's mine." "I'm not yours," she snapped. "You're under my protection," he corrected. "And if you don't like it, tough. I don't take back my decisions." She sighed, realizing there was no point arguing. But deep down, she knew Damon's protection meant more than just safety. It meant he wasn't backing down. For a while, things seemed calm. But then, the billionaires started noticing something. They were all involved in Ifeoma's life, but she wasn't choosing between them. The jealousy grew. One afternoon, Ethan stormed into Ifeoma's office, furious. "I just found out you took Noah's money," he said, his voice sharp. She frowned. "And you let Damon assign his men to you," he added, his blue eyes blazing. "So what is this, Ifeoma? Are you playing all of us?" "I didn't ask for any of this," she shot back. "I needed the money for my brother. I needed the job. And I needed safety. None of that means I belong to anyone." Ethan clenched his jaw, stepping closer. "You're driving us insane, you know that?" That evening, Noah sent a text. "I should have known better. Taking my money but keeping Ethan and Damon close? Interesting move, Ifeoma. Let's see how long this game lasts." "And Damon?" He didn't say a word. But the next day, he made a move that shocked everyone. He showed up at Lancaster Industries. Unannounced. When Ethan saw him walking into the building, his expression turned deadly. "What the hell are you doing here?" Damon smirked. "Checking on my investment." Noah arrived a few minutes later, as if he had sensed the tension. Well. A little business meeting, I see." The 3 men stood there, tension crackling in the air like a storm about to explode. And in the middle of it all, was Ifeoma. This was no longer just a fight for her heart. It was war. Ifeoma had had enough. For weeks, she had been trapped in the whirlwind of these three powerful men fighting for her attention, showering her with gifts, and acting as if she was a prize to be won. Now, they were getting dangerously close to tearing each other apart. It was time to put an end to it. She called each of them separately, her voice calm yet firm. "We need to talk," she said. That was all she said. But they all knew what she meant. She wasn't going to let them keep fighting in the shadows. She was ready to tell them where her heart truly belonged. "But we need a private place," she added. "Somewhere without distractions." To her surprise, they all agreed. But that was when a new problem arose. The moment the three billionaires met face to face, the argument began. "I'll host the meeting at Lancaster Towers," Ethan declared, leaning back arrogantly. "A private rooftop dinner overlooking the city. It'll be an experience she'll never forget." Damon scoffed. "Forget that. My penthouse in the Marina District is the best place. Ifeoma deserves an environment that matches her growing status." Noah chuckled darkly. "You both sound desperate. My yacht is the perfect place, elegant, private, and surrounded by nothing but the sea. That's real exclusivity." Ethan's eyes flashed. "Your yacht? Please, Noah, let's not pretend you're the classiest among us." Damon crossed his arms. "None of you even considered asking her where she wants this meeting." Silence. Then they all turned to Ifeoma. She sighed, arms folded. "Are you three done fighting over whose bank account is bigger?" They said nothing. "I don't need luxury," she said. "I want peace. If you really want to hear what I have to say, we'll meet at Royal Haven Hotel in the city suburbs. It's quiet, private, and away from all the noise." The billionaires exchanged glances, none of them pleased. But there was something about the way Ifeoma spoke, so sure of herself, that left them no choice but to agree. "Fine," Ethan muttered. "I'll be there," Damon said, jaw tight. Noah smirked. "I hope you're ready for what comes next, Ifeoma." Just as they were about to leave, Noah reached into his pocket and pulled out a checkbook. With a smooth flick of his pen, he scribbled down an amount and tossed it onto Ifeoma's desk. 10 million Nigerian nairas. He smirked at the other two men. "Let any of you beat that." Ethan's jaw tightened, but instead of pulling out money, he slid a crisp white envelope across the table. "A promotion letter. Ifeoma, as of this moment, you are no longer just another employee at Lancaster Industries," he announced. "You're my personal assistant. A private office, direct access to me, and of course, an elite salary package." He leaned closer. "Beat that." Damon, who had been watching quietly, reached into his pocket. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed something onto the table. A car key. Not just any car. A custom-built Range Rover, black with gold accents, bulletproof, and designed for absolute comfort and security. The room fell silent. Ifeoma looked at the check. The letter. The car key. And then, without saying a word, she collected all three and walked away. "No, thank you." No reaction. Nothing. The three billionaires stood frozen, watching her disappear through the door. Their jealousy had now reached its peak. And the meeting at Royal Haven Hotel was about to change everything. The news of the planned meeting had spread like wildfire across Port Harcourt, and then, like an unstoppable force, it engulfed the entire nation. What started as a quiet, private affair between Ifeoma and her three powerful suitors had exploded into a media frenzy. It was as though the city had come alive with whispers and rumors. The once quiet streets of Port Harcourt were now filled with chatter about Ifeoma, the delivery girl who had somehow captured the hearts of three of the wealthiest men in Nigeria. Please subscribe. The battle for Ifeoma's heart, who will win? A love triangle like no other, billionaires fight for the delivery girl. Ifeoma, the queen, who will be crowned her king? Newspapers from across the nation splashed her face across their front pages, some with flattering shots, others with twisted angles that made her seem like a damsel caught in the middle of a dark, dangerous battle. But there was one thing that was undeniable: she had become the star of the show. They were no longer writing about the city's political struggles or its economic battles. They were writing about her. And the city, even the country, was obsessed with her love story, or what the media had turned it into. Her suitors weren't helping either. The photos of Ethan, Damon, and Noah, captured at different moments, staring intently at one another like three gladiators on the brink of battle, were splashed on every possible outlet. They were all shown wearing expressions that read like silent threats, their postures aggressive, as if each man was daring the others to try and take Ifeoma for themselves. It was like a wrestling match was being advertised. But not just any wrestling match, this was a fight for Ifeoma, a fight that was being broadcast for the whole world to watch. As if the news coverage wasn't enough, social media took it a step further. The platforms were flooded with clickbait headlines, memes, and outlandish claims. On Facebook, posts like Ifeoma's secret, what no one tells you about the billionaires fighting for her, flooded news feeds. Some posts were genuine, but most were sensationalized beyond recognition. TikTok was another platform where the rumors ran wild. Short videos flooded the app, with thousands of young Nigerians making their own interpretations of Ifeoma's story. From dance challenges with dramatic voiceovers to videos of people pretending to be her suitors, the entire situation was turned into a viral spectacle. One TikTok creator even posted a skit where Ethan, Damon, and Noah were all sitting in a meeting room like kids at a playground, each waiting to present their case to Ifeoma, one of them pretending to give her a private jet, another acting out a dramatic monologue about their feelings. Then came Instagram, where photos of Ifeoma were expertly edited, some turning her into an ethereal goddess surrounded by luxury and wealth. Others distorted her image, turning her into a tragic figure of Cinderella-like proportions. Still, the pictures kept coming. Ifeoma became more than just a girl with a motorcycle. She was the center of attention, a media sensation, a national obsession. Her pictures were shared 1 million times, liked, commented on, and dissected. Some even speculated about her relationship history and dug through old photos of her life before the Billionaires, photos that many had never seen before. But it was on YouTube where the true chaos unfolded. Channels that were once moribund, barely hanging on to a handful of subscribers, had suddenly become monetized. Views skyrocketed as video creators posted outrageous and exaggerated stories about Ifeoma, twisting the truth to attract more clicks. Ifeoma, the billionaire's secret mistress, screamed one video's title. The thumbnail featured Ifeoma's image photoshopped onto a golden throne, flanked by Ethan, Damon, and Noah, each one towering over her like a shadow. The video went viral in just a few hours. Another title read, "Is Ifeoma playing the 3 billionaires?" Here's the truth behind her strategy. The thumbnail had a wild cartoon version of her, sitting on a throne, with each billionaire's face looming behind her. The rumors grew more bizarre with each passing day. Some bloggers claimed she had already chosen one of them but was waiting for the others to get the message. Others suggested she was secretly dating someone else, someone entirely off the radar. But most of all, there were endless stories of the supposed rivalry between the billionaires. Within a matter of days, Ifeoma had gone from a humble delivery girl to a national phenomenon. She was no longer just a local girl trying to make ends meet. She was now a celebrity, more famous than the governor's wife, more talked about than any politician. People no longer recognized her as she walked down the street. Before, she could move about her life quietly, delivering packages and doing errands. Now, it was impossible. Everywhere she went, people stopped to take pictures, to ask questions, to offer her unsolicited advice on who she should pick. People in the market whispered about her, and strangers on the street would approach her, asking for selfies. One day, she tried to go grocery shopping, only to be followed by a group of excited teenagers who wanted her autograph. She smiled politely but couldn't escape the overwhelming attention. The local news stations aired special reports on her. Interviewers tried to get her to speak out, to share her thoughts on the Great Love Triangle. They wanted to know who she was going to choose and why. But Ifeoma remained silent, refusing to feed into the frenzy. The more the media covered her story, the more they twisted it. The more they sought her out for interviews, the more they scrutinized her every word. It was as though she had become a character in a drama, and everyone was watching, waiting to see how her story would unfold. But in all of this, Ifeoma felt like she was losing herself. The world had put her on a pedestal, but she wasn't sure she wanted to be there. She hadn't asked for any of this, and now the pressure was building. She couldn't walk freely anymore. She couldn't even leave her house without feeling like everyone was watching her, waiting for her next move. The meeting was coming, the day that would decide everything. But Ifeoma was already wondering, was she truly ready to make a decision, or had she already lost control of her own life? What will happen when the three billionaires finally meet her? And who will she choose, if anyone at all? The world was waiting. The city of Port Harcourt had never seen anything like this. Ifeoma had become the woman everyone talked about. No longer just a delivery girl, she was now a figure of admiration, controversy, and endless speculation. The newspapers called her the Queen of Hearts, bloggers crafted outrageous theories, and even corporate executives discussed her story over drinks. But despite all the noise, Ifeoma remained steady. She wasn't losing sleep over it, nor was she overwhelmed by the attention. She knew exactly where her heart belonged. She just wasn't ready to reveal it yet. 3 days to the highly anticipated meeting, as the countdown continued, an unexpected event shook everything, one that made the entire city stop in shock. That morning, as Ifeoma arrived at Lancaster Industries in her luxury car, she noticed something unusual. Her driver, who always ensured her security, glanced uneasily at a small envelope placed on the passenger seat. "Ma, this was already in the car when I came to pick you up," he said cautiously. "I don't know how it got there." Frowning, Ifeoma picked up the envelope. It was plain white, with her name written in bold, capital letters. Ifeoma. No sender. No address. A chill ran down her spine. She opened it. "Please subscribe." Inside was a simple note, typed in crisp black ink. "Do not attend the meeting. The man you trust the most is the man who will betray you the worst." Ifeoma's breath hitched. Her fingers tightened around the paper. Who had written this? And more importantly, what did it mean? Her first instinct was to dismiss it. Maybe it was just a desperate blogger trying to stir up more drama. Maybe it was someone playing a game. But something about the letter felt different. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. She barely had time to process the note before her phone buzzed aggressively in her bag. A flood of messages poured in. Calls. Notifications. Social media exploding. Confused, she unlocked her phone and froze. Her name was trending again, but this time, it wasn't just about the love war. A new headline had just been published. And this one threatened to change everything. Breaking news: the dark secrets of Ifeoma's billionaire suitors, what she doesn't know. The article was everywhere, accompanied by leaked documents, grainy photos, and alleged proof that one of her 3 suitors was hiding a dangerous secret. But which one? She quickly scrolled through the article, her heart racing. It was full of accusations, financial scandals, hidden affairs, shady dealings. The article didn't mention names directly, but it hinted at things that made her stomach twist. Could it be Noah? The extravagant billionaire who never thought twice before throwing money around. Was there something hidden behind his generosity? Or was it Ethan? The calculated businessman who had built an empire from scratch, what had he done to rise to the top? Or was it Damon? The most mysterious of the 3, always watching, always protecting, what exactly was he protecting her from? Ifeoma's head spun. Who had leaked this? Was it true? Or was this just another desperate attempt by the media to control the narrative? One thing was clear, someone was trying to sabotage the meeting before it even happened. And now, the whole city was waiting to see if Ifeoma would still go through with it. Before we continue, my esteemed viewers, let's pause for a moment. If you were Ifeoma, what would you do? Would you ignore the anonymous letter and continue with the meeting, trusting your instincts? Or would you try to uncover the truth before making any final decision? And most importantly, which of these three billionaires do you think has the darkest secret? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this video if you're enjoying the suspense, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next thrilling episode. Because, my dear audience, the game is far from over. And the biggest shock is yet to come. Port Harcourt buzzed with speculation, but Ifeoma was no ordinary woman. While the city gossiped, analyzed, and debated her next move, she chose action over confusion. She needed answers. And she would start with Ethan. Wearing a sharp yet simple office dress that hugged her elegant frame, Ifeoma strode through the grand halls of Lancaster Industries, her heels clicking with purpose. Employees stepped aside as she passed. Not because she was feared, no. Because she was respected. There was something about Ifeoma's aura, something powerful, fearless, and mesmerizing, that made even the wealthiest men take a second look. She reached Ethan's office, didn't knock, and pushed the door open with an audacity that would have made anyone else quake. Ethan, seated behind his dark mahogany desk, looked up, a slow, amused smile spreading across his lips. The very thing that made him notice her from the first day they met was playing out again. Fearlessness. Ifeoma didn't flinch, didn't hesitate. She walked straight to his desk, pulled out the crumpled anonymous letter from her purse, and threw it in front of him. Ethan glanced at the paper, then back at her. His eyes held curiosity, not fear. She folded her arms. Her voice was calm, but firm. She called him by his new pet name, the one she had started using after weeks of working by his side. Explain. For a brief moment, silence stretched between them. Then, Ethan leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. He picked up the letter, skimmed through the words, then exhaled through his nose. But there was no panic. No alarm. No guilt. Instead, he leaned forward, elbows on his desk, and met her gaze with something intense, raw, and unwavering. Sit. And so, for the next solid 2 hours, Ethan Lancaster spoke. He told her everything. From his days as a poor boy hustling in the streets of Port Harcourt, to the sleepless nights in a tiny room where he studied business strategies while others partied. He spoke of betrayals, of people who tried to steal his ideas, of the investors who laughed in his face when he first pitched his dream. He told her about the first time he made his first million, not by fraud, not by deception, but by pure brutal hard work, and how he lost it all in one reckless business gamble. But he didn't stop. Because Ethan Lancaster was built for war. He fought. He refused corruption. When other businessmen bribed their way through government contracts, he built alliances with visionaries. When others forged documents, he found smarter, cleaner ways to win. My name has never been attached to a scandal, Ifeoma. His voice was firm, his eyes locked onto hers. Not once. Ifeoma listened. No interruptions. No doubts. And for the first time since this whole madness began, she felt something she had never felt before toward Ethan. Respect. When he finished speaking, silence filled the room once more. Ethan's eyes searched her face, looking for a reaction. Then, without thinking, without hesitation, Ifeoma stepped forward and placed a soft, delicate kiss on his cheek. The moment was fleeting. But to Ethan, it was everything. For the first time in his entire life, Ethan Lancaster was speechless. Dazed. Frozen. His heartbeat betrayed him, slamming against his ribcage like the roar of a fighter jet. He had closed billion-dollar deals. He had won against the most ruthless men in the industry. But this? This was the first time a single moment had shaken him to his core. As Ifeoma pulled back, turning toward the door, Ethan found his voice, though it was slightly hoarse. "You may ask Noah or Damon." Ifeoma stopped at the door, her fingers resting on the handle. Then, she turned her head slightly, her voice soft, yet full of hidden meaning. "Trust me." And with that, she walked out. Ethan stared after her, the ghost of her lips still burning on his skin. Then, just before she disappeared completely, he called out, his voice quieter this time. "Be careful." She didn't turn around. But as she walked down the hallway, her voice echoed back. "Always." Now, dear viewers, the plot thickens. Ethan has spoken. His conscience is clear. But Ifeoma's journey is far from over. She still has 2 more men to confront. Will Noah's story be as clean as Ethan's? Or will she find something dark beneath his wealth? And what about Damon, the man who has remained the most secretive? Tell me, if you were Ifeoma, would Ethan's honesty be enough for you? Or would you still keep your options open? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Because the next episode will leave you breathless.